we were going to just push ahead and talk about a great Belichick story, a Lane Kiffin anniversary, which it just happens to be the 15th anniversary of Lane Kiffin.
Hey, thanks for the reminder.
Well, actually, now that I think about it, let's just go right there.
Okay.
It is the 15th
Happy anniversary
of Lane Kiffin getting let go with a projector.
Okay.
With a projector.
All right. Well, and I hit that.
And that you hit. And I want to know your memories, of course, because, look, we're talking about these coaches getting let go in the beginning, in the middle of the season. We were going to talk about who's on the hot seat. Rich said, "Oh God, it's not hot yet." I said, "Kind of is.
It's
pretty
darn
Rich.
warm. It's pretty darn
warm for some guys." But before we go on, let's hear about your recollections of the projector gate.
Well, Lane was one of the 2 coaches Al fired during the season while I was with the team. So I don't know if he did it before I joined the team, but during my almost 30 years with the team, he fired 2 coaches in season. One was Mike Shanahan. We just talked about how that ended up in a big whoop-de-doo. The other was Lane. I knew Al wanted to fire Lane. The argument I was having with him leading up to the termination was severalfold. Number one, I raised the "and do what?" If you're going to terminate a coach, you better be able to answer "and do what?" And the answer that you have needs to be at least as good as the status quo, if not better. Otherwise, what the heck are you doing? And he did have a plan in place that he believed was better than the status quo. By the way, I'm pretty sure Al would have thought me coaching the team was better than the status quo. He just was done, and he wanted to terminate Lane. My issue with him once he made that clear was, then do it. Just do it the right way. Do it calmly. Do it. Someone once told me, if you're going to terminate someone, just do it and then be done. Don't make a whoop-de-doo out of it. Well, we went back and forth and argued. So he goes to have a press conference to fire Lane. And I was so angry with him, and we were at each other's throats, that I behaved rather childishly. I refused to go to the press conference. So I sat upstairs in my office with 2 other staff members, and we turned on the TV in my office to watch the press conference. Press conference starts, and the first thing I say is, "Oh, my God, they didn't even put our backdrop down." We had a backdrop with sponsors on it, and we were contractually obligated to use the backdrop for press conferences. So now I'm harumphing and huffing and puffing that he's having this damn press conference, and he didn't even pull down the backdrop, so now the sponsor's going to be angry. And as I'm staring at it, I realize, oh, the backdrop's there. That's a screen in front of the backdrop. Why is there a screen? And the camera pulls back, and I see the overhead projector. I didn't even know we had an overhead projector. Well, he goes on to have the press conference, and we're just sitting in my office. I'm there. These 2 other, employees, 2 of my fellow employees, staff were there, and the 3 of us are just staring at the television, speechless. Well, after the press conference, all hell breaks loose. And I'm not just talking about the media coverage. Sponsors are calling, advertisers are calling, season ticket holders are calling, fans are calling. Our customer service department has to be prepared to answer all the calls. Our sponsorship and advertising and PR and every department is getting pummeled with calls. And we have to be prepared. And so I gathered a staff meeting. We had a staff meeting. The next 3 days were crazy. Things start calming down a little bit. I don't remember whether it was 3 days later, 4 days later, and we can finally take a breath. And I said to my husband, I am going to go into the office, and I am going to find that overhead projector, and I am going to get an axe, and I am going to smash it and break it into millions of little pieces. I'm going to smash it to smithereens. And my husband just looks at me and says, "Oh, no, that baby's going to Canton." And I laughed, and it was the first time I laughed after that press conference. So, yep, those were my 2 in-season firing experiences.
Lane.
I don't know whether the Raiders are going to terminate Josh McDaniels in season. I don't know if they'll terminate him after the season, but I do know this. I hid that overhead projector. So unless they found it when they left Oakland, they don't have it.
Lane Kiffin was 9-23. He was 1-3 when he was fired. I remember when he went to you guys because he came out of USC, and I had been covering USC at the time, and everyone was captivated to see if he could bring the Pete Carroll magic with him from USC to the Raiders. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Belichick magic that Josh McDaniels is trying to bring with him.
Yeah, there have been a lot of coaches who've worked for Bill. Josh is not alone in this regard. they've gone on, and a number of teams have hired, whether you want to call them prodigies or disciples or someone from the Bill Belichick tree, and they don't succeed in the manner Bill has succeeded.
Amy Trask, Suzy Shuster from What the Football drops every Tuesday. Subscribe wherever you find your podcasts.